Welcome back to the guitar lessons. Today is going to be fun. I'm even going to teach you how to play a song you've probably heard before by the Scorpions. So that'll be at the end of the lesson. I'll show you the main riff in that song. You'll probably recognize it. First thing on today's lesson is going to be the musical alphabet. The musical alphabet I went over before, but I'm going to go in more depth this time so that you fully understand it. But it goes from A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and repeats all over again. We're going to start on the C note because we just learned that scale recently. That one, and then it repeats itself in octaves. Now, the musical alphabet, between each note, there's a half step, just half step after half step after half step after half step. Between each of the letters, C, D, and so on and so forth, there's going to be an accidental, which is a synonym for a flat, which is a synonym for a sharp, so it could be any of those. But let's look at the first two notes in the C major scale. We've got C, D. Between C and D, there's going to be a C sharp or a D flat. It's the same thing. They're not two different notes. D sharp is C flat and vice versa. And the same with all those other notes. So C, D, E, we'll look at E, C. Between the C and the E notes, there's going to be that C sharp or D flat. Same thing. And so on and so forth. Now, there are two places within the musical alphabet where that is different. There's nothing in between them. There's no accidental between B and C. It's a half-step difference, but there's no accidental between those two. On a keyboard, these are both going to be the white keys. And then we have C and D. C and D are white keys, but this note, the C sharp or the D flat, that's an accidental. That's a black key on the piano. And so on and so forth. The other place that this occurs is between E and F. There is no E sharp, there is no F flat, just like there's no B sharp, but there's no C flat. They just don't exist. Other than that, though, there's an accidental between each of the notes. Now, to figure out notes on the guitar till you have them memorized, well, you know the open strings, right? We got the low E, A, D, G, B, and high E. Knowing that each fret on here is a single half step or one note, let's start on the low E string. The next note up on the guitar neck is F, because there's no accidental between E and F. It just goes from E to F. Then F sharp, G, G sharp, A sharp, B, C, because like the E and the F, there's no accidental between B and C. And C sharp, D, D sharp, E. Then we're back to the octave. The 12th fret, if you notice, is an octave. And on your guitar, odds are there's probably two little dots on there to represent an octave. And then single dots are on the 3rd, 5th, 7th, 9th, and then on the 12th, there's two dots. And if you have a 24th fret, you'll see that two dots again. So those are the octave markers on the fretboard. And you can do that with all the strings. The next open one is the A string, right? Just go up in half-step increments. It's going to be A sharp, B, C, C sharp, D, and so on. You can do that on all the strings. So I'm going to include a file attachment of the entire guitar neck with all of its notes on it. So look at that. We're going to continue with some chord strumming. I'm going to show you 3 more simple patterns on top of the pattern that I showed you last week. So here's that first pattern. I'm going to just stick with the basic C chord, this one. And that first one is this. So we got down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down. And play that with the metronome. And the bobbing of my head represents one click. In fact, I'll turn it on so you can see it, hear it, and play it. I'll set it to 83. That's an odd different number, just to make sure that we can play at any speed. So here's what it sounds like with the metronome. That's it. Another pattern, I'll keep the metronome on. This one's going to be down, 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 up. So down, 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 down. And the third and final one for today is going to be down, down, up. We put it all together, it's sort of a triplet feel. It would sound like this. We'll do A minor, something different than C. And those are the three patterns. Alright, I'm going to have all of this laid out for you in file attachments so that you can practice on your own. And those three patterns, apply them to all the chords that you know. It'll continue to strengthen your fingers and it'll give you a sense of strumming. And remember to keep your wrist loose-like and not stiff. It'll be easier that way for the purpose of chord strumming. Alright, there's only one more thing on today's lesson, and that's going to be the Scorpion song. And I'm sure you're going to recognize it. Let me turn this metronome off for a minute. Sounds like this. Yeah, it's that hurricane song. This uses power chords. So I'm also going to take this moment to teach you what a power chord is. It is so simple, and rock, metal, mostly rock, is loaded with power chords. And so is blues and other styles of music, but especially rock music. So a power chord is, going back to intervals, it's going to be 2 notes. Technically, to be a chord, it has to have 3 notes in it, but this is only going to have 2 notes, and it's still called a power chord. But you pick a note, any note. For this purpose, we'll pick the starting note of this tune. And that's going to be with your index finger, place it on the 5th string, 7th fret. And the interval is going to be a perfect 5. So that's a perfect 5. And play them simultaneously. And then you can add the octave on top of it, so you got root, 5, octave. And play those. Now there may be 3 notes, but 2 of those notes are unison because they're octaves. So the only 2 notes that we're playing is this one and that one. And that's it. And then the octave of that first one. So the pattern is this for the first part of that riff. Just down, down, down. That's all you need. You don't need to alternate pick that one. It would probably sound a little bit funny if you did. But go ahead and try it. And the next one is going to, see, the power chord doesn't change. It's always going to be that root 5 root, okay? So you can play it anywhere. Up and down the neck, it's always the same. But the next power chord, that was an E power chord. The next one is going to be a G power chord. So place your index finger on the 6th string, 3rd fret. That's a G note. Play that same pattern. The 1, 5, octave. So we've got this. And then shift up 1 whole step. So from here, 1 whole step would be up here, right? So we've got this so far. And the last 2 notes, you're going to shift up to a C power chord. That C note is on the 5th string, 3rd fret. So we got the C, which is the first tone, and the 5th tone, root. And the last note, just shift up on the same strings, 1 whole step, so it's going to go from here to here, right? That would be a D power chord. And the whole thing looks like this. Turn the metronome on. You should always practice with the metronome. Slow it down. Turn it on 84. You can go slower if you're not used to this. Here's what it sounds like. And notice, before I start playing, even though I've been doing this for a while, I still listen to that thing click a few times. It's a good rule of thumb to listen to it click at least 4 times. Lock into the rhythm with your head first before you start playing, because if you don't have the rhythm up here, then when you start playing, you're going to notice that you're off right from the get-go, and that's not going to sound good. So always listen to that click a few times. 4 is a good number, and listen to it click longer if you need to. That concludes today's lesson.